Is this build actually worth $127,000? Well, in this video, we are about to find out. My name is Jarrod Tocci and I run this channel. I do a lot of van tours. I have built several vans. I try also to focus on smaller space design, among many other things. But today's video is a video that I used to do where I used to break down van builds. Now, I want to re-up this series again, so I'm starting today. In the past, I actually went from pros, DIYers, I did everybody that I found off of a website that I used. Today's website is roadroamer.co. Roadroamer.co is actually run by a friend of mine named Kyle. He has been a videographer for me in the past, and he continues to doing videography work for me. However, he has started roadroamer.co to help facilitate people to get vehicles sold, or maybe businesses started, or whatever it might be. There is more that's going to be happening with Roadroamer, but it's in the infancy stages right now. So as you can see that they've got vans for sale, overlanding rigs. I see a Porsche on there, 924 Safari. I see actually Kyle's van personally is on there, right in that bottom one. I will get to these other builders on a different day in a different video, but today I want to focus on that right there, that 127,000 international, and we are going to open it up. This one actually looks right here above it. It looks like it's an $82,000 van. It looks good, but I think that's probably a DIYers. I really don't want to focus on DIYers because they put their heart and soul into it, and for businesses, it is more of something that is open for critique and open for debate, and I'm here to only assist everybody. With that assist, I want to break everything down that is inside of these vans, or inside of maybe a bus, or like today's is a bus, but buses and vans are very similar. And I can maybe help you guys understand what the value of maybe your vehicle is, or maybe something that you are going to be looking at in the future. Before I do share the screen of the listing and everything, I will actually say that I am going to have a rating system on this video. So it'll have a 1 to 10 score on 5 different categories. Obviously, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and we are going to give an overall score and a rating at the end of the video. At the beginning of the video here, I just want to give a little disclaimer that all opinions expressed are my own, based safely on publicly available information, like I was mentioning the websites. Only a professional review of the craftsmanship, design, and market value based on what can be seen. Obviously, I'm not seeing these in person. I am only looking at these through a website that, again, is publicly. As you guys can see, the way that Roadroamer is set up, you click on the link and it opens up a new page, and it obviously will go right into photos, which we are going to get to. Don't you worry about that. It sees right off the bat, 127,000. Where it is located, which is Spokane, Washington. The make and model, the International 3800 DT 466. Now, I am a very much expert in vans and the building of vans. However, when it comes to buses, I don't really know. So in a second, I am going to actually look up what that is, because I don't know buses. I don't know schoolies, and I need to see maybe the value of the bus, because that obviously is going to go into the price overall. This schoolie feels like a whole apartment on wheels. Let's be the judge of that, and we'll find out. The reason I also, also just want to say right here at the beginning that the reason I am kind of doing this one and revamping this series is because $127,000 for a bus is quite a bit. A good, well-built tiny house is about $100,000. We're talking pros. And the reason I say tiny house is because a bus is almost like a tiny house. It's actually kind of a hybrid between a van and a tiny house, because a bus is movable. Me personally, I would like to do a bus, but it's also like one of those things that I kind of want to put it on a piece of land and not move it. So part of the breakdown is knowing the vehicle. So I need to make sure I know the vehicle. It's a 2000 International, so that's already 25, about to be 26 years old. An unlocked transmission that can get up to 65 miles an hour. So this puppy ain't cruising, but it can go 65, I guess, which is suitable for the US, which is where it is. A 24-inch roof raise. Now, that is needed to know because we need to make sure that we're under the overall height requirement, which is 13.6 nationwide. This engine was rebuilt by International. That's obviously important, with only 860 hours since the rebuild. 860 hours does seem like a low amount of hours, so we're gonna have to keep that in mind. Approximately 23,000 miles equivalent. That's good. The chassis has 189,000, miles, with it recently inspected with all the fluids, service, and swapped oil, coolant, and transmission fluid. Okay, they're giving us updates on the vehicle itself, very much needed. Obviously, we need to know all of those things if we're gonna have to give a fair assessment. The interior features a dinette with under-seat storage that converts into a daybed with large 12-volt fridge freezer, kitchen with tons of storage, bar sink, induction cooktop, multifunction electric oven. Hope you guys have enough power if you use an electric, which I'm sure they do. Task lighting and a vent hood. Vent hood is always a nice touch in a tiny house because you can't really do it in a van per se. The bathroom has a tall shower, stall, corner, vanity, and a storage in the mirror and the cabinet, and there is a Thetford cassette toilet. Interesting. So they obviously the reason why there is a hybrid between the vans and buses is because a lot of these bus builds are going to be adapting van building techniques, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. The bedroom has a standard queen size bed frame that lifts on electric actuators to reveal tons more storage, as well as utility space in the rear heat system and water distribution. Double the closets of ample storage and for multiple person living. Again, we're gonna have to be the judge of that. Multiple person living obviously means at least two, but a lot of these buses are kind of built and designed for families. 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I've seen up to 8 on a bus before. The electrical, this is nice. What I don't like about this is they didn't say what the solar panels are. If you're a professional van builder, professional bus builder, my advice is to list what you are using. You're giving line items to your clients anyway. Why can't you give line items on a spec build? It seems like this company is a new company, by the way. 2,225 watts of solar. Again, say the solar panels. 10 kilowatts of self-heating lithium battery bank. 3,000 watt, 5,000 watt peak inverter. Alternator charging, shore power charging, remote monitoring and control. The EcoFlow 10 kilowatt independence kit. Now, if you guys are new to my channel, then you would know that I am a fan of EcoFlow, but I am not a fan of professional builders putting EcoFlow into their vans. Why am I not a fan of that? I don't lose sleep over it at night, but why am I not a fan of it is because I feel like a lot of professional builders will charge the same amount for a install kit than a EcoFlow kit. So if I am putting together and I'm spending 40 hours on building out an electrical kit, a custom kit with Lithionics batteries, or maybe even SOK batteries, which is much cheaper than a Lithionics battery, and you're doing Victron components, or you're doing a Master Volt with a C-Zone, touchscreen and all the things, or you're using Victron with Garmin and having all of those things. Yes, it is easy to do an EcoFlow and just have it all one-stop shop. But if something breaks in that EcoFlow, it's hard to diagnose it. Yes, there's a warranty and all those things, but I've actually seen probably a 1 out of 10, maybe even 2 out of 10 of the EcoFlow power kits needing service within that warranty. It's actually much higher numbers that need the warranties. And for me, it's a peace of mind thing, and I don't really want to worry about that. But that's, again, my opinion. I'm not poo-pooing all over EcoFlow by any means. I'm just saying I don't like when builders charge the same amount for a 40-hour-a-week putting together an electrical kit versus a plug-and-play EcoFlow power kit. Climate, 3 inches of spray foam insulation, walls, ceiling, 3 inches of rigid foam insulation. I have nothing against spray foam. I love spray foam. However, in a van or a bus, the sheet metal, it can be a little wonky, and it has to be done super well and super professionally done, because if you spray that spray foam incorrectly, then it can, when it expands, it actually will warp the metal, and it'll give a ripple effect to the sheet metal, and it looks very, very janky when you see it up close in person. Separate heat and AC zones for front and rear. I like that. That's actually cool. All windows are dual pane insulated frameless RV windows, made to order. Max Air fan, that's great. That's for the bathroom exhaust. Okay, 29-gallon propane tank hung beneath. I have nothing against propane. I actually kind of like propane in this kind of environment. I mean, I would have rather have tapped into the diesel that the International bus already offers. However, they're using a propane. What are they using for the heater and the hot water? That's fine. That's great. But again, you have a fuel source right there in your, built into your bus. I would rather have seen that. 127,000 for a bus. Again, that's on the pricier side, I think. I would like to see some sort of hydronic system which would tap into the diesel or the gas directly. The water tank's 100-gallon fresh, a lot of water. Also a lot of weight. 51-gallon gray, 10-gallon dual fuel liquid propane or electric water heater. All plumbing is inside for the thermal envelope, making it a true four-season rig. That's actually a great call and great idea. I think I agree with that. Temperature adjustable, outdoor, Aquacore. I love Aquacore so much. I don't know why everybody doesn't use them, but I do love Aquacore. The hose, it's the way you like can fill or use your water. It's like it actually helps with frost. It doesn't frost, I should say. The finishes are all natural wood finish with Rubio, I think it's Rubio monocoat, with a low VOC, easy maintenance. Customizations not included, but easy negotiable. So, I mean, I guess they can upgrade things. Okay, as we go through the pictures, I'm gonna just start on the exterior. What modifications have been done, like we already talked about the year, make, model. They said approximately 23,000 miles. The asking price again is 127,000. It has that 24-inch roof raise. I don't have anything next to it to really scale if even that little thing up top, it looks like an AC unit. I wonder if that is under the 13.6, which I think it is. It looks like it's a couple Dometic ACs. That's where the front and rear ACs will come into effect. Looks like a custom door that's down there. You know what I don't like about the exterior all that much? Actually, I will say two things. One thing I do like and one thing I don't like. One thing I don't like is the windows, which I wish there were more. I love natural light. I don't know what is inside yet, but I do know I would love to see more windows. Maybe they have better rear windows. Did they show the rear? No, see that? No rear windows either. I would like to see more windows. However, what I do like is they did a custom paint job. After you do a roof raise and everything else, it looks like a great paint job. What I would have liked to see is, you guys can see this, see those side rails that are on buses. I would like for them to have done that in like maybe that white, match the white from the roof, or even a black trim. So like just a different color, to just the opposite contrast of what the that light tan color is. That's a cool idea, just in my opinion. So yeah, you guys can actually see as well, not only does it have the two AC units on the roof, but it also has the 2200 of solar panels, 2225 I think is what it was, of the solar panels. I mean, you can't, they're rigid panels, they're not like flexies. So easy to maintain, but you kind of have to have them sticking out the way that they have them. What I do love to see on buses, or what I would like to also see, is like a roof deck. Maybe find a way to incorporate panels and a roof deck. I don't know how possible or impossible that was. Maybe they do have a roof deck, but I didn't see one up there. Maybe there was one in the rear, but again, I didn't see one up there. On this side as well, you can also see that there's very minimal windows. Again, windows, natural lighting. It would make a world of difference with natural lighting. You can also see it looks like they have the proper ventilation. They got the hood vent, it looks like, for the kitchen. It's going to be probably right there, as well as it looks like one of these is for the Thetford cassette. It's for that rear pulling out of the cassette toilet. it looks like they didn't add any storage to the exterior. However, it looks like there is some built-in bus exterior storage that were in the photos that I have been looking at. This is not meant to go off-roading, so that's also something to keep in mind. Like if you have a large rig like this, again, it's 127,000. So if you were looking at like comparing it to like an expedition truck, it just doesn't compare, because an F550 can go off-roading and crazy and go balls to the wall and out in the wilderness and have a big box and have like a full-time living situation if you were to look up like an earth roamer. But earth roamers are like $1 million. All right, let's look a little bit at the interior. This is great that they actually incorporated the driver's seat into kind of the living space. It looks like they did also good photos too. I kind of like that. I think it's important. I would like to see more landscape photos than portrait up in vertical. It looks like they have a mixture of both, but it's just kind of like, do you need to have a scenic? No, I don't think you do. Like we're looking at, it looks like a shed right now. It's okay. Again, this is a different shot of that driver's seat area. It looks like you walk right up into that space, and I even like the little accent lighting inside that like little bookshelf above the driver's seat there. This is obviously the dinette where people are gonna sit and eat and do whatever. It looks like they have storage underneath the benches. You do have to get to those storages by moving, which is fine. It's like, what else are you gonna do? What are you gonna have, a big drawers come out from the sides? That would be a lot harder to do. Overhead cabinetry, there's one of your windows, and we'll get to the kitchens here in a second. I don't know what those two vents down there are. Maybe that's where they have the battery storage for their EcoFlow. That's the other thing. The EcoFlow batteries are massive, just in comparison to like another 10 kilowatt system. Yeah, I'm guessing that's where the batteries are. All right, here's the kitchen. I love that they have a hood vent. You're looking at the standard, architecture, 3-point. You want to have a sink. You want to have like a cooking area, like your cooktop, and it looks like they have an oven right there that. I don't know if that's electric or gas, I don't remember. The vent, and then your refrigerator, it's like you want those as like a 3-point, typically you want one of them behind you so you can like triangle around the space. Really hard to do, obviously, in small spaces such as tiny houses, buses, or vans. It's impossible in a van. Looks like they came damn near close to it. It's a love-hate thing when it comes to the poles. Looks like they cut in their own poles. I've done that in my van. I've seen many others do it. It's a European style, I believe, more like a Scandinavian design. This is kind of goes with the whole flow of the bus itself, because it is raw wood, and that is very like Scandinavian design or that kind of like Finnish design or whatever it is, like that Norwegian like feel to it, Norwegian cabin, it has that whole overall feel, very light, very, very calming, soothing. The lighting is well done. I guess I'll just say in the middle of this video, the one thing I would like to have seen is just a little bit nicer appliances. I'm sure we're gonna see a picture of the fridge here in a second, but I would have upped the oven a little bit. I like, me personally, if you're gonna go that kind of an oven or that style or that small, I'd go with like a Brava. I'm a huge fan of Brava ovens. Standard induction cooktop, you can't really screw that up. Hood vent, I love. Sink. Why can't we make our sinks bigger in these tiny houses or buses? You've got the room, you've got the space. I would have maybe tried to incorporate another, countertop space somewhere in there. Is there a ton of storage? No. Is there enough storage? Yes. And then right above the fridge, you have your electrical breakdown, and it looks like it's a Dometic. Like they said, it was a 12-volt fridge, so it looks like they're running everything off of DC power, or mostly everything off of DC power, which is great. That's how you're supposed to do things, especially in an off-grid application. Personally, if you're going to be following this aesthetic of design, the clean, modern look to it, then I would hide those things in a cabinet. It is nice to see them, like when you're kind of just passing by them, you're like, oh, our batteries need a charge, or oh, we need to dump our gray tank, or oh, we need to fill up our fresh, whatever. So, but you can open a cabinet and look inside of that. Like I would have just recessed that just a little bit, had a sliding cabinet of some sort, maybe a door that opened up. And then, as I move to this next picture, it looks like the other thing is accessibility. I want to make sure that I have access to that power kit. I don't know where it is. It looks like this is the fuse panel. Very important to have accessibility there. But the power kit itself, if something goes wrong, you're going to have to like troubleshoot that with, you know, professionals and make sure that you need to get to that. So you need to have access to where that plug and play power kit itself is. Maybe the batteries where they are. You don't want to like rip apart 14 things to get to that part of the van or bus. Looks like we're about to enter the shower, which is great. I mean, that is a elongated shot. Very, you know, very spa-like. They probably used a vinyl tile. Hey, that's fine. As long as it's, you know, all waterproofed. I would love to see like a waterproof backing, which I'm sure they did it. Seems like these guys knows what they're doing, but those are the questions that I would ask. Like, hey, what's your backer board inside your shower? Like, you could ask that. Interesting that they went with a two-tone, like a black tone inside of the shower. I actually kind of dig it. I hate to say this, but the finishes could be a lot better. It looks like they kind of cut a lot of corners in there, and then it raises an eyebrow to me when I see like a wainscoting just painted. Like, what other corners did you cut? I'm not saying that like a pine ceiling, like a knotty pine ceiling, isn't a bad ceiling choice. I love that. I'm using that for my van that I'm currently building. That's not the problem. Now, I'll give you an example right here as I move over to the bed picture. If you look at the underneath of the bed, like the slatting of the bed, but they did holes, which is totally fine for breathability purposes. It looks like a cheaper plywood than what I would like to see is as a bed frame. The actuators, great addition. It looks like this is where the heater is. I would try to enclose all of that. If you're going to be throwing stuff into there, if your client's going to be throwing stuff in there, then I would try to enclose all of that because you don't want to disrupt that water heater or the heater. Actually, I think I know that heater because I was supposed to do a video with it. Wow. Okay. Maybe I still will. I don't know. But I do know what that heater is, and it's actually on the cheaper side of heaters, which is fine. And then it looks like there's a little water heater back there as well. And there's your 12-volt fuse panel. I wonder why they added a second one in here, because the one is in the front for the EcoFlow. So I wonder why they added a second one here. That's a question that I would ask. The water lines actually look really good. Whoever did their plumbing looks like they did a fantastic job plumbing. It's kind of like they went out and hired a really good plumber, and then they didn't hire the best electrician. I don't know. Because look at that, it's all like clean, and they've got even shutoff valves for all of the different water shutoffs. That's impressive. Closet storage, must have. I love that they obviously incorporated closet storage. Obviously, this is a brand new van. There's plastic still on the bed. Going a little bit into the finishes, see if you're going to have that inset cabinet look, which is what it is right here. You can see it. I've done it in one of my vans. If you're gonna do that, then I would use the proper plywood. Now, this looks like a multi-grain plywood, or multi-layered, excuse me, a multi-layer plywood. Baltic birch is obviously a multi-layer ply. Apple ply, multi-layer ply. Baltic birch, I don't know if it's 3/4 inch. I don't know if it's 9 layer or 11 layer. This is not neither. And then apple ply is like a little bit more. Apple ply is like 13 layer. This looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it looks like it's 3/4 inch. 7 layer isn't bad, but 9, 10, 11, 13 multi-layer. It's a prettier look to it. The reason you want to use the multi-layer is because the end grain wants to be seen. That is why this design is so popular. You don't want to put an edge banding on it. You're supposed to finish it, sand it, finish it, put that Rubio Monaco on it, and it just pops. Another end grain that I think is absolutely stunning, and I would love to see more of it, hint, hint, I might be doing it, is bamboo or plyboo. The end grain of bamboo is so pretty, and then if you were to inset cabinetry with the reveal of the bamboo, it's chef's kiss. Again, I did the apple ply in my last van, and it's just, again, it looks really pretty when you see it up close. I'm not saying that this isn't pretty, I'm just saying I wish they upped the plywood a little bit better. Again, shortcuts were taken. I actually appreciate this photo right here because they used the natural light and they didn't have the overhead lighting on, because the overhead lighting, I'm not the biggest fan of overhead lighting, and it's just kind of like bleh in your face, and they use the accent lighting instead. I also want to point out there is a closet on the right hand side or the foot of the bed, and then there's a separate closet. So his and hers, his and his, her and hers closet. You have two separate closets for maybe two separate people. Obviously they're traveling. Is there sleeping for more people? I think the dinette does convert into another bed. Is it more so for a guest? I think so. Is it for a family? That one is up for debate, not so much. Now, as we go through this, we're going to talk a little bit about layout and functionality. Like I already said, it's not so much done to a family standards, but definitely a couple, or maybe somebody retiring or traveling the country or whatever it might be. It actually looks like a smaller dinette in the video than it does in a video in a picture that does a video, if you know what I mean. There's your power systems, the Dometic fridge. I love a big fridge in these kind of spaces. Yep, kitchen looks pretty standard. I don't know if there's wasted space. I love the layout. Obviously, the bedroom in the back and the dinette in the front. It's hard. I don't know what the size is. I feel like there was a lot of untapped potential in the layout and design overall. So the categories I'm going to say are craftsmanship, system and engineering, design and usability, the market value, which is like the rig itself, innovation and originality, and then I'll give a total score of all of that. I should probably write this down somewhere. All right, so on craftsmanship, this is kind of like the first time I'm doing like a rating system, so I might be really harsh or really generous. We'll wait to be seen. Craftsmanship, again, I do have a partnership with Nomadic Customs, so it's really hard. I should not, and I will not. I cannot compare anyone craftsmanship to Nomadic Customs as a van builder, because really nobody can hold a candle to them. In my opinion, actually, this is kind of like where I was maybe a few years ago. I have stepped my game up a little bit, but I'm not that even good at craftsmanship. And I probably would have put myself in the mid-tier level, like a 5 out of 10. And that was back then. And right now I'm probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10. And so craftsmanship, I'm gonna give a 5 and a 5 out of 10. And I'm sorry to hurt that person's opinion or feelings. I can't apologize. I can't apologize. This is a review. This is what it is. Systems and engineering. I would obviously say like a 1 is like a failing, right? And a 10 is hydronic heating system with radiant floors and, spa-like bathroom with like, maybe a steam room or like maybe red light therapy and custom-made power system, solar panels that are just blow your hair back and whatever, that's like a 10. And then a 1 is just like bare bones, like portable power station and things like that. So for me, again, this is kind of that mid-tier in systems and engineering, because they didn't really go with a high-end heater. They didn't go with high-end water heater either. AC units or Dometic AC units that you have to put 2 on there, because that you can't cool that space down unless you have 2 of them. So if you went with like a cruise and comfort, it would have been the bee's knees. I'm going to give it a 5. Design and usability. For me, I don't have children, so I actually really like the design. I love that they kind of went for it with that Scandinavian finish, whatever you want to call it, kind of design. I wouldn't have done the wainscoting on the wall. I would have done a few things differently. I would have upped the plywood, but again, that's more of a craftsmanship over design technique. So I'm going to rate this on design and usability. Again, I'm coming at it to a place that I don't have children. I would just have guests. So I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10. Market value. I have no idea what this thing goes for in regards to the International 3800 D24. So I actually did, I Googled it, And it said the International 3800 was a common bus chassis manufactured by Navistar International from 89 to 2004. So that's kind of at the tail end of it, right? Because it was a 2000. Often powered by a robust DT466 diesel engine, which it is, and it was rebuilt by International, is what he said. I looked up like for sale, and it's really, really hard to see and compare like other buses, because I see some that have no bids or on auctions. This one's for $43,000. Obviously doesn't have a roof raise, but then there's a 2001 International for $4,000, and it's a 40 footer. There's another 2000 International 3800, 13,000. So these bus prices are freaking all over the place. And I want the market value also to be not just of the bus overall, but the overall price, the 127,000. And I need to do some thinking and some math here real quick to see if this is worth it. With the rebuilt motor, we're gonna say that bus is 15, 20, sure, we can say 20,000 just for the bus. We're saying for another 15, maybe 10 for the roof raise. I'll say 15 to up it a little bit. So we're 35 just in for the bus and the roof raise, 35. From my understanding, parts, components, everything in there, dual ACs, solar, the electrical kit. The electrical kit is actually not that expensive in comparison to others. Maybe 30, maybe. With all the wood and materials and everything, maybe 30. So the last bit of this is labor. You know, how many buses has these people built? Is there a warranty included with the bus when you do buy it? You know, how long are the systems on warranty for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if I'm 30 into the chassis and the roof raise, and then I'm 30 into the overall components, and we can even inflate that a little bit more, that's 60. I would say another 30 to 40 with labor. Now, I usually take that number, and if you're on the lesser experience side of things, you're kind of matching what you put into it systems-wise and cost and materials-wise. So you're right around 90 to 100. So market value, 127, maybe they gave themselves enough wiggle room to do negotiations. However, I think that they're kind of on the higher end side of things. I would feel a little bit better if I saw a 110, because that gives you, like, I say 10,000, which is roughly, what is that, 10%? A 10% drop is pretty good. If you're starting in the 25, 30% drop, then that's where you start raising red flags. Like, all right, how much advantage were you taking advantage of me? And people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that their product is not any good. So for that, I'm sorry. But market value, I'm probably going to give this, I want to give it like a 6.5, because I'm really back and forth between a 6 and a 7. So I wasn't going to do decibels, but I'm going to do a 6.5 on market value. Innovation and originality. There isn't much innovation and originality here, to be quite honest with you. It looks like they cut a lot of corners. I think their craftsmanship is good enough to be builders, and maybe they're just trying to flip this as the first one to kind of start their company as well. But again, if you're only into it in that 60, 65, then why not try and sell it for 90, you know? And if you're going to start your company, it's like, hey, we just made 30 grand off of that first one. Let's do another one. We can make another 30. Innovation and originality, yeah, I'm probably going to give this like a 4. All right, so if you guys were keeping up, the score overall out of 50 is 27.5. I hate to be my first new style of this being a mid-tier score, but that's kind of what this is. So 127,000 for a bus. I don't see many schoolies going for over 100,000. But I want to ask all of you, do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Comment below. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me, Jarrod, you are just completely out of your mind, or Jarrod, you are spot on. I agree with you. Comment below and let me know if you think that this bus is worth 127,000. Also comment below and let me know if you have a vehicle that you would like me to look at online. Not that you are... Let me preface that. If you're going to want to consult with me, go to my website and you can hire for me to consult. If you see something online and you're like, this is a doozy, then send it to me. That's different. And also let me know if you guys like this series. I like this series. I want to keep doing it, but that one kind of really doesn't matter. But I also would like to hear you guys' thoughts as well. So thanks again, tune in, and we'll see you guys next time.